Revenge films.
My husband and I don't have any kids, and we both have full-time jobs that we're heavily committed to. And that's why we're able to live comfortably. And although we had to travel a lot for our jobs, we were still happy together. But one day, I realized that our electricity bill was higher than usual. It's not like we were being charged an outrageous amount. It made sense for us to be charged this much if we were both home every day, but we weren't. So that's why I felt that it was a bit strange for us to be charged this much. And so, I set up a hidden camera in the living room, just in case, before I headed out for my next work trip. One day, I decided to check the camera while I was away from my house. My husband was on a business trip as well that day, so no one should be home, but that's when I saw my sister-in-law entering my house through the camera. And it wasn't just her either. She brought 3 of her friends with her, and she was carrying a packed suitcase, so it's clear that she's been planning this excursion to our house for a while now. And so, my sister-in-law and her 3 friends walked into our house without batting an eye. When they got inside, my sister-in-law headed straight for the kitchen and opened the fridge. The house that we're living in right now doesn't belong to us. It's owned by one of my coworkers, who's lending it out to us for a discounted price because she's working abroad right now. So although we live in it, that house is not technically ours. But my husband must have given his sister our keys. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to come inside. My husband loves his sister very much, and he would do anything for her. I can easily imagine him making an extra copy of our keys for her. And I don't really like his sister, to be honest. Her parents were already pretty old when they had her, so she ended up becoming very selfish. I've given her presents before, but she's never thanked me for them. She doesn't have any manners, and she's a bit aloof. And so I called my husband immediately and told him about what I saw on the camera. He admitted to giving his sister an extra copy of our keys and told me that he thought it would be fine for her to use our house while we were away. I couldn't believe him. What was he thinking? This would be outrageous even if we owned the house, but that's not the case. The house belongs to my coworker, and she trusted me to take good care of it. What if they caused a fire or broke something in the house? What would we do then? When I asked my husband these questions, he started to freak out and told me that he talked to his sister about it. I couldn't trust him though, so I made him sign a pledge to never let his sister back in our house without my permission. To be honest, I wanted him to distance himself from his sister, but we all know that's never going to happen. So I gave up on that and instead resorted to telling him that I wanted nothing to do with his sister. I didn't want her anywhere near my coworker's house, and I made sure to make that clear to him. But then a week later, my sister-in-law, who lives about an hour away from our place, called my husband. At the time, I was sick and in bed, so I couldn't really do anything. My head hurt and my entire body felt cold. So my sister-in-law called her brother at the worst possible time. And while my husband was on his call, he kept looking at me, trying to see what kind of mood I was in. It was getting annoying, so I eventually got tired and asked him, "What is it?"
Well, apparently she's visiting the shopping mall that's in our city, but she used up all her money there and can't afford to pay for her trip back. And she says she's alone right now, so...
So that's what the call was about, huh? Can't he see that I'm sick? I feel like I'm about to die, and my husband is seriously considering letting his sister stay over at our place? This is insane. And so, after gasping for air, I muttered, "I'm going to kill you if you let her into this house." When he heard that, my husband quickly turned back to his phone and said something to his sister. My sister-in-law definitely knows what she's doing. She didn't use up all of her money on accident. But whatever, I'm not going to help her. I don't care what she does as long as she doesn't come into this house. But a couple of minutes after that, my husband started dressing up. When I asked him what he was doing, he told me that he was going out to buy dinner for his sister. I'm about to die over here, but my husband is prioritizing his sister over me. And he's buying dinner for her too? I can't believe this. I bet he's going to get her a hotel room too. This is just insulting at this point. I was so shocked that I couldn't even say anything. And after my husband left, I was hit with this massive wave of loneliness. I guess the cold was messing with my brain. And so I called my brother and his wife and told him about what happened. I just needed to talk to someone about my feelings. My throat and head hurt were in constant pain, and by the end of my rant, I didn't even know what I was saying. But I could hear my brother yelling on the other end of the phone. I think he was angry, but I don't really remember anything else about the phone call. And when I woke up, I was sleeping on the couch at my brother's place. How are you feeling? Does your head still hurt? That's my brother's wife. According to her, my brother was furious when he found out how I was being treated by my husband and his sister, and he came over to my place to pick me up. And while he was carrying me back to his place, I was crying constantly and saying that I wanted a divorce with my husband. When I checked my phone, I saw about a dozen messages and calls from my husband in my inbox. It's too late for that, honey. We've already reached the point of no return. My husband abandoned me while I was sick, but my brother was willing to travel an hour to pick me up and save me. The difference is obviously very stark. And thanks to the care that my brother and his wife had given me, I feel much better now. And so, I asked my sister-in-law where my brother went, and she told me that he was at the supermarket buying things that he thinks I could and should eat. This is how family is supposed to be. We're supposed to care about each other when we need help. I was able to realize that thanks to these two. But that's when I got another text from my husband. Apparently, after eating dinner with his sister, he went to go watch a movie with her. When he came back home, I was gone from my bed. That's when he started freaking out, and he told me that he was very worried about me. Ugh, what a pathetic man. And so I told him that I was going to get a divorce with him, so he could go and hang out with his sister as much as he liked. And as soon as he read the message, he immediately gave me a call. He asked me where I was right now, so I told him the truth about what happened. I told him that my brother brought me over to his place and that I didn't need a husband who doesn't care about his wife anymore. He apologized to me about 1 billion times and started crying over the phone, but I had already made up my mind. His words held no weight for me. He also said that he would refrain from seeing his sister from now on, but I told him that it was too late for that. That ship had already sailed, and my decision is final. So I hung up from the phone call and decided to tell my coworker what had happened. She was understanding of my situation and told me that it was all right if I moved out of her place. When I went back home to grab all of my stuff, my husband was sitting alone at the dining table. He told me that he was worried about me, and I replied, "Well, you don't have to worry about me anymore because we're going to be complete strangers from now on. Anyway, I'm going to be moving out of here by the end of the week, but what are you going to do?"
But I thought you were joking. You were just sick and not thinking straight, right? And I told you already that I'm not going to see my sister anymore, so come on, don't make such a big fuss over this. This isn't that serious.
It's not that I'm making a big fuss over this incident alone. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. This was only the final straw that broke the camel's back. The problem is that my husband is the kind of person that would prioritize his sister over me, and he's definitely going to keep on betraying my trust if I stay with him. So I told him that I wasn't going to change my mind, and that's when he finally realized how serious the situation was. And afterwards, we got a divorce. He refused to sign the divorce documents at first, but after my brother did a little convincing, also known as punching him in the face, he had no choice but to listen to my demands. Oh yeah, and I also heard from a friend that my husband ended up cutting ties entirely with his sister. I guess he realized how selfish she was because of this whole incident. She was happy that her brother got a divorce at first, but I guess the whole thing ended up backfiring on her. Sucks to be her.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.